So, developing a personal myth is a wonderfully practical and exciting thing to undertake in order to enrich your life with meaning and adventure. This is ideas rooted in Joseph Campbell, the American mythologist's work, and I'll be using plenty of resources throughout the video, including personal stories to paint this interesting picture. You might be sitting there thinking, why bother with a personal myth? Or how the hell could that improve my life? Perhaps you scoff at the notion of myth, thinking it is silly or a childish notion. Well, if you have any of these preconceived ideas, I ask you to put them aside for a moment and to give me a chance to show you how this could be a transformative thing in your life. A personal myth is a story you create to give your life meaning and direction. It's not about inventing fantasies or living in delusion, but it's about consciously crafting a narrative that aligns with your deepest values and passions. A sentence written by Nietzsche that was popularized by Viktor Frankl puts this really well. He who has a why can bear almost any how. Now, developing a personal myth is about finding what gives you zeal, what inspires you, what gives you surge of energy and enthusiasm when you are engaged in it. And that's what you want to shape your life around. It has to do with connecting to traditions, stories, and symbols that resonate with you personally, and it doesn't matter where they come from. For me, for instance, I've found that one thing that I've grown to think of as a central part of the meaning of my life is expanding the understanding of myself. In other words, expanding my cognition or my own consciousness. So why is it important? Well, without a guiding story, life can feel pretty directionless and pointless. A personal myth provides clarity. It sort of helps you understand your purpose in life and to put your priorities straight. It gives you inspiration as it sort of connects you to something that's infinite, transcendent, sort of symbols and traditions and the values that really energize and uplift you in life. And thirdly, it gives you resilience. So when challenges inevitably arise in life, which they will, that you have a myth that reminds you of a bigger picture, keeps you grounded, and gives you motivation to keep going with a good mindset. Campbell observed that myths are not just stories, but they're really roadmaps for living a fully and authentic life. One of the most powerful aspects of developing a personal myth is that you can draw inspiration from everywhere. Joseph Campbell believed that myths from different cultures spoke to universal truths, and this can also be said to be the case for really anything, also other traditions and nature. Now, let me give you a couple of examples. One being the hero's journey. This was something that Joseph Campbell popularized, wrote extensively on, and it's the idea that you can see your life or you can see yourself as the hero of your own life. And it's something that can revitalize and inspire you in your own life. And it's clearly a motive that we see cross-culturally, meaning that there's something fundamental human to this notion of being the hero of one's own journey. You can also contemplate symbols that can be out in nature. It could be something as easy as contemplating a tree, which could delve you into ideas of growth and renewal, or it could be something a little more sophisticated, although not more powerful, but something like the Christian cross, where you would contemplate or you would sort of go into ideas of suffering, responsibility, to name a few. Practices like meditation, reading and exploring different traditions can be really inspirational, and it doesn't matter what it is. Anything that you find interesting, you should delve into head first, so nothing is off limits. Of course, it may very well be that stories that are grounded in your own ancestry may speak more directly to you, but if you find something else that's interesting, you should follow that. And this is sort of a claim that was made by Jung, which is that your sort of psychic makeup is to some extent historical, and so that means that histories from your own culture may be more deeply impactful for you, but it doesn't have to be true. So the key is to find what sort of inspires you, what moves you, and to integrate that into your own story. And by doing this, you'll be aligning more with your own personality and individuality. And as Carl Jung wisely said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are, or rather to be who you are. So how do you actually go about creating this personal myth? Well, I'll try and give you 3 practical steps. The first is to discover your bliss, as Joseph Campbell famously put it. That is to say, find out what really energizes you, revitalizes you. What do you truly love engaging in? And it'll often be things that you can see hints of when you look back into your childhood. Did you make any grand claims about what you wanted to become when you were older? And were they perhaps a little bit untraditional? Perhaps they weren't the normal, I want to become a fireman, I want to become police, etc. That might be something there. Or are there any noteworthy experiences that you can think of when you were engaged with something that where you lost track of time, that you just loved? Secondly is to craft your story. Think about your life as a journey and an adventure. What have you been through? Where do you want to come? Where do you want to go? And sort of frame that into a larger context and attempt to clarify the true pillars of the meaning that you have in your life. And the last is to incorporate symbols and traditions. So you look at myths, symbols, or practices that resonate with you. Maybe it's the hero's journey that I talked about earlier, or maybe it's even a favorite piece of literature that inspires you. And you can use these as touchstones to enrich your own personal myth. And an important point is to consider that these ancient traditions and myths, they are never things that happened in an historical context oftentimes, but they're always happening. That is to say that they're representations of things that are happening internally, perhaps psychologically. And so there will always be a motif out there, a mythical motif that is sort of reflective of something that you're going through now and will be going through in the future. And remember, this is not a static process of developing a myth, It's something that will evolve and grow as you encounter new experiences in your life. Now, if you actually do these 3 aforementioned things and you take them seriously and diligently, I am certain that it will have tremendously positive effects on your life in a myriad of different ways. And as far as I can tell, it will give your life more purpose. That is to say, your myth will give you a sense of the direction that you want to move towards in your life. It will help you align your actions with your values. You will find more meaning in the challenges that life represents or presents to you. Because when life inevitably gets difficult and tough, your myth can provide a framework for resilience and growth. And thirdly, to connect with something greater than yourself, which is a very important thing, I think, if you want to lead a purposeful and meaningful life. And that's by sort of embracing these symbols and traditions that we have around us, or whether it be nature as well. You can tap into a timelessness and sort of an interconnectedness that feels tremendously important. And one of the reasons I really enjoy Campbell's work is that he reminds us that myths are not relics of the past, but they are tools for being fully present in the moment. I believe that one of the most empowering things you can do is to develop your own personal myth. It'll help you live more intentionally, with more purpose, and it'll connect you to deeper parts of your own individuality and self. And it'll help you navigate life's uncertainties with more confidence. And I'll leave you with these noteworthy words by Joseph Campbell, which is, we must let go of the life we have planned as to accept the one that is waiting for us. So thank you so much for joining me in exploring this topic of developing your own personal myth. If you found it interesting, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting content in the future.